All right. Hello. I don't have that buffer voice for the what does he do when he gets in the ring? The big, long, drawn out introductions. Not my style. Sorry, guys. So you should hear me. Give it a thumbs up if you can hear. Oh, I'm getting some feedback on my end. So I will mute myself, but that's probably a sign that you can hear me. But give me a thumbs up if you do, in fact, hear me. Before I move on, that's the first step, the most important step. Dead silence. Okay, Vince, Mike, and Ryan are all online, it says. Sounds good over here. All right. Ryan's the first to chime in. Good stuff. So you see The Rock here. I got a quick slideshow put together for this. You should see The Rock and a stack of pancakes, pizza, and I don't know what that middle one is. Chocolate cookies or something. So I was going to hope for a few more to jump on. I know I threw this at you again last minute. That's my style. But they can always catch up. I don't want to keep you guys waiting. So let's put those phone away unless you are on the phone, because notifications can distract. We don't want that. We got 15 minutes solid to engorge you with wisdom on cheat meals. Engorge was the first word that came to mind. I'm not sure why, but I think I'm going to start using that more often. So watch for a future program. Engorge your biceps with blood. Not quite. All right, so recapping the first couple weeks. Yes, we're already a few weeks into the summer program. Everyone seems to be going pretty strong. I've got some crazy results, some decent results, and everyone's just committed. And that's what we like. So portion control and nutrition, obviously ad nauseum. This is the first and most important point if you're looking for fat loss, to get your diet under control, stop binging on weekends, but finding some balance. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And then aiming for a step count. I think that's pretty underrated for a lot of guys who sit at a computer all day, sit in their cars, sit on the couch, to find enough steps in the day to get a little more fat loss going. And then those good habits that aren't sexy, but just as important for health and wellness and weight loss is getting a good quality sleep, stress management, doing things to manage your stress so you're not burning the candle on both ends. So give me a funny face if you are still engaged here. There's some potential emojis. I think it gives you options on the bottom, so use those. Use those at will and get more people here, because once you start engaging, the rest of the group members will pop up as well, so they'll get off their butt and get on in here. So this should be fun. Conan O'Brien, he is giving you a little look right now. A little bit creepy, actually, but I was always a fan of Conan when he had his late show. I think I was in college at that time, so I was actually up late enough to watch it. Now I don't see any of these shows because I would pay for it the next morning if I had to get up. All right, so the wrong way to cheat, right? This is how people typically go about this, is they have a cheat day. They call it a cheat day where all bets are off and it starts early with the big brunch and then a pizza dinner and then dessert at DQ. And they've, had 4,000 calories in a day, which puts them well over their maintenance. And then it takes them 4 or 5 days to get back to square one, or potentially it washes out their good week. So that sucks. The other one is free weekends where you don't really have any structure. I'm not saying you have to live like a monk here, but having some structure in your diet on weekends, so you still kind of hold serve going into Monday and you're not playing catch up. So what I think of as a free weekend is Friday, Saturday, a ton of booze, a ton of food, and Sunday's a hangover day where you eat again and don't exercise, right? So that's not good for you. Easier said than done. But Michael Scott is telling you no. Do not do one of these two things, okay? Little infographic here that kind of illustrates the issue with kind of going free on the weekends, right? Is you push such a calorie surplus up and above, over and above, that you kind of break even for the week and you don't gain or lose a pound. And that's fine if maintenance is your focus, but if you're looking for fat loss, you've got to dig a little deeper at points, okay? So I'm going to show you how to make cheat meals work for you, because you do want them at times. There's a few reasons for that on the science side of things, but when you diet and you're in a strong calorie deficit, you're losing weight, right? You get those hunger hormones that really chime in because they want to stop this in its tracks. And something called leptin, which promotes fat loss, curbs hunger, tanks. And you don't want it to tank. And by having a large but strategic cheat meal, you can counteract that, get your leptin levels back up to where they should be, and kind of keep the metabolism off guard, right? Plus, there's just the mental break aspect of it, which I think is important. All right. So your options. There's two. The first one is a timed carb load. So for the majority of you, this is not actually where you want to go. I've reached out privately to a few of you who I think are in position for this now. It requires you to be fairly lean to begin with. You've had to be dieting pretty consistently for the last few months. Dogs are barking outside. Very aggressive dog barking. And you've had to have lost a good percentage of weight in the previous 3-4 months, at least 20 pounds before considering this. But this is an approach I have used in the past to really dial it in on a diet, get aggressive, have this weekly, and I drop pounds each and every week. So try to gloss over this for now unless I've reached out to you. But we're talking big carbs here. And I would start at the low end, 3 hours, and you're getting things like pancakes, kids' cereals, bagels, as much carbs as you can shuttle into your muscles. And this doesn't mean going into with oatmeal and brown rice. That stuff will give you a gut bomb, and you won't make it through or get nearly enough carbs in during the window to make it worthwhile. So I don't want to go too into detail on this because it's something that people can really screw up if you're not in position to make the most of it. So food for thought. If you get lean enough, this is something you can do every week. Number 2 is the more likely one for 90% of you. And that's something I call structured flexibility, right? If the rest of your meal plan has been solid through the day, you can easily fit anything pretty much within reason as a post-dinner snack. And this is separate from your flex meals that I've talked about on weekends. This is something that you do on a workout day in the evening. You've earned this right. And you know that boredom period after dinner, before bed, where you're sitting watching Netflix and things get out of control. It's good to have something to look forward to that is still kind of within your plan, not completely off the rails, but satisfies that sweet tooth. So any of these can apply. And I just brought this number out of the top of my head. You kind of have to determine your calories for the day based on where you're at. But if you follow the meal plan as structured, you can typically fit this in without issue on the days you exercise, right? So give me a thumbs up if you are making sense of this so far. So let's say you work out on Tuesday. You have your 3 square meals, right, with the portion control. Getting enough protein in. Maybe you have a protein snack before bed. But in between that time, between dinner and your protein snack, you have one of these. Because your calories are likely far enough underneath where they need to be that you should be completely fine with this. So we got thumbs up, so people are good. So I would start with once a week, see how your weight and your body responds. But this is something I have full confidence that anybody in this group can do a couple times a week on a workout day after you've kind of built that buffer. And I'll talk to the reasons for it a little further down here. So this would kind of be the meal plan, right? You have that morning fast, unless your day doesn't structure or allow for it. So there's no magic to that. It just gives you a buffer, right? Low carb lunch of Mediterraneans, protein snack in between there. Not a protein smack. I'm not sure what that would be, but I'm visualizing things right now. It shouldn't be. And then you have dinner, right? Spaghetti, meatballs. That's kind of after your workout, ideally. And then this dessert is that 300 calorie buffer. It could be 200 calories. It depends on where you're at for the day. But I'm talking bowl of frozen yogurt, right? A glass of wine, something that is going to quench that craving for you and not throw you completely off plan. And then if you feel hungry before bed, obviously another one of those protein snacks if you haven't hit your number for the day. So I think it's pretty straightforward. but it gives you a little room. And I know some of you had some big weight drops last week. Typically, I know that some of the guys that just joined the group, there are going to be bigger drops to start, but you don't want too big of drops each and every week. That might mean you're pushing a little too hard and cutting into muscle. So 2 pounds a week, right? 1% of body weight is about the right number based on the body of research out there. All right. So what do you do if you still have cravings after this little mini snack? I think a big thing, underrated thing, is to go for a walk, get your mind off food. You can do like a bodyweight circuit, something quick, right? I like walks before or after dinner. It actually, it shuttles blood flow away from your gut, so you'll actually feel less hungry in the short term. If this is too intense of exercise, though, it can actually increase hunger down the road. So you want it to be just enough that it decreases boredom, takes your mind off eating, and there's less blood flow to your stomach, to your brain, etc. So you're feeling hungry or craving more and more food. So go for that walk somewhere in the evening. There's also the least important part is the increase in insulin sensitivity, right? I talk about that all the time. That's where you can shuttle more carbohydrates into the good areas, right? Your liver and your muscles store extra carbs. You don't want it to go to your fat cells. So the more muscle you have, the better. All right. So the focus for this next week, something called the Mansformer Master Chef Challenge. Yes, I'm flying in Gordon Ramsay to judge the best presented meals in the group. Not just presented, but creativity as well that fit into the meal plan. Tastes great, and you can supply us with a recipe. So this was actually, I got to give Ron Burns all the credit for this. He mentioned it. We've done it months back, but he said, I think that'd be a good idea. And I was in full agreement. So what we're going to do is start posting meal pics on Monday, more creative the better, that fit into the nutrition plan. And obviously, you can use my recipe books if needed, but I kind of want you to get off the board here a bit, come up with some cool things that we can all use and benefit from. So the second part is to get in that app and do your workouts. Most of you have the diet under control now. It's getting more workouts logged, right? These two things work in cohesion. So I'm actually going to throw a workout challenge, nothing too crazy this time, into the app. And so I want to see that you log it and complete it. So that's a new wrinkle, because posting in the Facebook group is one thing. People can ignore it, pretend they didn't see it. But in the app, there's no getting around it. It shows up, and you have to complete it. Or I have to see you complete it. That's good. And then, of course, check in with your Thunder Buddy. I know a few of you are sworn enemies. Won't name names, Paul and Sean, who I paired up, who happen to be Flyer and Penguin fans. Complete opposites. Two hated rivalries in the NHL, which I overlooked, but I thought that was kind of funny after the fact. So set aside your differences and focus on the fitness aspect of life and check in with that person. I think it's important to have that virtual workout buddy too, because we're at that point where, the new car shine is off, right? You've been dieting for a few weeks and your mind starts to wander to other bad things that sabotage your diet. So make sure you're using the group, using me, using your Thunder Buddy to get the most out of this. All right, that was it. I promised to be short and sweet tonight. Attendance was modest at best. I think we had 5 or 6. That's varying points. So I'm expecting the replay, and everyone will be well-versed on this by tomorrow. So any questions? Brittany's confused. Hopefully none of you are confused. But use the space for questions now. I'm going to leave it open for a good 60 seconds or so as I hydrate and drink my water and watch my 2.5-year-old on the monitor. She's been up in the middle of the night the last 3 nights. Got too much sun on Monday, and we are paying for it. As you guys know with toddlers, very unpredictable. So I'm going to take your silence as a sign that you're all ready to rock with this. You know exactly what to do, and your weight is going to continue to drop. Your measurements are going to continue to get leaner. And like Ron Burns said today, his pants are almost looking ridiculous at this point. He's got a new belt that he's cinched up on them. So yeah, I should have mentioned that at the start. you may have to budget for new pants if you're doing this appropriately. And he's finding that out this week. All right, guys, so that is it. Obviously, private message me in Facebook or send me an email if you have questions here. Use the Facebook group as well. But for now, that's it. Workout challenge tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your week. Workshop Wednesday in the books. I'm actually going to throw a poll up for the next one because I don't really have any formal ideas for this for next week. So I'm going to pick your brains on that and see what you want. All right? So that is that. Let's see.